All right, you know what time it is. Neil Ratner, Rock Doc here with a story. This past week, Pete Townsend celebrated his 77th birthday. So today, I thought I'd tell you a few things about Pete Townsend that you might not know. And as usual, a little background first. So Pete came from a very musical family. His father played alto sax in the Royal Air Force's dance band, and his mother was a big band singer. Unfortunately, both of Pete's parents were big drinkers with bad tempers, and at the age of 5, they split up. And Townsend was sent to live with his maternal grandmother, who, according to Pete, was demented and clinically insane. Now, the Townsends' 2-year separation ended when they purchased a house together, and Pete was happily reunited with his parents. But by then, the damage had already been done. All right, now, Townsend says he didn't have many friends growing up, so he spent much of his boyhood reading adventure novels like Gulliver's Travels and Treasure Island. He did enjoy his family's frequent excursions to the seaside and the Isle of Man, and it was on one of those trips in the summer of '56 that he repeatedly watched the 1956 film Rock Around the Clock, sparking his fascination with American rock and roll. A couple of years later, he actually got to see Bill Haley and the Comets do Rock Around the Clock at a concert. It was his first concert, and it only pushed him further towards a career in music. Now, his father taught him a couple of chords, but Townsend was largely self-taught on the guitar, and he never learned to read music. Pete and his school friend John Entwistle formed a short-lived jazz group featuring Townsend on banjo and Entwistle on horns. But Townsend was faced with the decision. I mean, music was good, but he also loved art. So should he go to art school, music school, or just no school and get a job? Well, he ultimately chose to study graphic design at Ealing Art College, enrolling in 1961. His friend, John Entwistle, also in 1961, accidentally became a member of Roger Daltrey's skiffle band called the Detours. Now, Daltrey was in desperate need of a bass player, and he just happened to see Entwistle walk down the street carrying a bass guitar case, and so he just went up to him and talked to him and recruited him. John promptly suggested Townsend as an additional guitarist, and after a couple of personnel changes, including the addition of Keith Moon on drums, they became The Who. Now, in the beginning, Pete was quite reclusive on stage, and he always really hoped the band would only last a very short period of time. He didn't like traveling, and he really didn't like being on stage performing. Now, many of his ideas about performance, musical themes, and playing style had come to him during his time at Ealing Art College. And from the very start, Pete wanted to craft the music to feel like art. At first, that was not so easy for him to do. Eventually, though, we know how it turned out. All right, now, Townsend's style was strongly influenced by cellist Malcolm Cecil, who often damaged his cello during performances. Pete was also very influenced by one of the lecturers from Ealing Art College called Gustav Metzger. And Metzger was the innovator of something called destructive art. So you get it, right? So considering these elements, Townsend's guitar smashing became not just an expression of youthful angst, but also a means of conveying ideas through musical performance. And according to Pete, we advanced a new concept. Destruction is art when set to music. All right, I'll end with a funny story. Jimi Hendrix had taken notice of Pete's antics with the guitar, and both of them were scheduled to play on the same day at the Monterey Pop Festival in 1967. Now, Pete went to talk to Jimmy about which group would go on first, but Hendrix would have none of it and told Townsend, "What you really mean is that you don't want me to go first. You want to be up first there with the guitar smashing. To which Townsend replied, Jimmy, I swear, that's not what it's about. All right. The matter was settled with a coin toss. The Who went first. Townsend then went back to watch Hendrix's performance. He did that with Mama Cass from the Mamas and the Papas. They watched it together from the audience. And as Jimmy was burning his guitar, she yelled at Pete, hey, destroying guitars is your thing. Pete turned to her and said, it used to be. It belongs to Jimmy now. All right. Pete Townsend, they're on the road. Go see him if you haven't. I've seen him many times. Always great to see The Who. All right, that's my story. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll have more stories as the days go on. You know where to find me around the internet. And as I always like to tell you, always remember to keep on rocking. All right, see you soon.